Hello guys, I hope you all are doing good. I am Vishali Kikan and we are discussing the VLSI technology. In that we are discussing the etching process. In the previous video we have already discussed about the wet etching or the chemical etching, and there I stopped on the disadvantages of the wet etching. Now to cope up with the disadvantages of the wet etching, we have plasma etching, which is also known as the dry etching. Okay, so here we are using the plasma as the name suggests. And what is plasma, what is dry etching? We are going to discuss all of these things in detail. How we are coping up with the disadvantages of the wet etching, that also I am going to discuss in this video. So first of all, this is a gas in gas out system. Okay, we are using the gases here. We are using some ions here in the form of gases. Okay, so now plasmas generate free radicals and also the ion bombardments also. So here we have the reactive ion etch. Okay, so what happens actually, we have the ions which are there falling on the substrate, and when the ion fall on the substrate, it removes some particles from the substrate. This is giving me the etching process. So it is a combination of chemical and the physical etching process. Some chemicals can be used to remove these materials from the surface, and some chemicals may be used to protect some material layers also. Okay, so it is the combination of chemical and the physical process. So here if I am using the RIE can be giving me most accurate results, and this is the reason in most of the patent processes reactive ion etching is used. Okay, so coming to the comparison of the wet etching and the dry etching, I have already told you various things about the wet etching. Let's compare it with the dry etching. Coming to the etching bias, okay, I have already told you it is unacceptable to get less than 3 micrometer feature size with the wet etching, but in the dry etching I can have the minimum feature size, and this is the utmost advantage of the dry etching. Okay, second is the etching profile. Etching profile was isotropic in the wet etching, but here in the dry etching we have an isotropic to isotropic kind of profile, and it is also controllable. I can control my etch profile, so this is also a very good advantage. I can have a particular type of structure for the etching. Okay, in the particular shape only the etching would be there. Now coming to the etch rate. Etch rate is higher in the wet etching, but etch rate is lower, but it is acceptable. I can control my etch rate in the dry etching. Coming to the selectivity, I have already told you the selectivity is high in the case of wet etching, but it is also acceptable, and I can even control the selectivity in the dry etching. The equipment cost is very low in the case of wet etching, but the equipment cost is a very crucial factor if I talk about the dry etching. Okay, the throughput is high because it is a batch system in the wet etching. I have already discussed about it, but in the dry etching the throughput is less, but it can also be getting controlled. Okay, so here the chemical usage will be very high in the wet etching, and I have already discussed various types of hazards associated with the chemical usage. Okay, in the dry etching we don't have very high usage of chemicals. Chemical usage is very low. So in this manner I can say dry etching is better than the wet etching. Now coming to the plasma, as I have already told you, we are using the plasma in the dry etching. Okay, we are not using any chemicals, we are using plasma here. So what is plasma? First of all, plasma is an ionized gas. Okay, here we have ions, but these ions will be containing equal number of positive ions and equal number of negative ions. In the case of negative ions, I have just electrons. In the case of positive ions, I have full ions in the gas with the positive charge. From the full atoms or molecules, I have electron removed. This electron and the full ion, the positive ion, will be acting as the plasma. So here we have three important collisions that are taking place inside the plasma. First is ionization generates and sustains the plasma. Okay, so here we have the ionization. Then we have the excitation and relaxation. It will be causing the plasma to glow. Okay, sometimes this plasma glow also. And what is causing this plasma to be glowing? Excitation and relaxation. I hope you know excitation. In excitation, we have higher energy levels and lower energy levels. So electrons are jumping from higher to the lower energy levels. This is excitation and relaxation. Then we have the dissociation. Okay, then the third part is dissociation. After the collision, we will be having the dissociation, which creates the reactive free radicals. Okay, after the collision, first is ionization, which will be containing the positive and negative ions and which will be generating the plasma. After that, we have excitation and relaxation. Third, we have dissociation, which will be creating the reactive free radicals. So they should not react with each other. So dissociation is the process which is making the electrons to not react with these positive type of ions. So this is how the plasma is stabilized. Okay, so now coming to the components of the plasma. Here we have some neutral atoms or molecules. We have negative charges, that is electrons. I have already told you. We have positively charged ions. We have some quasi-neutral elements as well. So here we are representing the quasi-neutral elements as Ne. Okay. So here we have the ionization rate. So ionization rate is dependent upon the number of electrons as well as the number of neutrons. Ne is the number of electron. So here the ionization rate depends upon Ne and Nn as well. So it is equal to Ne upon Ne plus Nn. Okay. So now coming to the ionization rate. Okay, so if I have higher and higher collisions, it will be generating the higher ionization. So if ionization is high, which means ionization rate is high, so ionization is mainly dependent upon the electron energy. If the electron energy is high, the collision will be high and the ionization rate will be high. Okay, so if I am using the plasma processing chambers, the ionization rate is lesser than 0.001 percentage. If I compare it with sun's ionization rate is 100%. Let's understand how less it is. Okay, so the ionization rate for high density plasma, okay, for high density plasma, the ionization rate should be high, but it goes up to 1% only. Okay, it is not much high. Now coming to the mean free path. This term most of us have already heard before, and most of you must be knowing this term also. Okay, so the average distance a particle can travel before colliding with the another particle is the mean free path. Okay, so this is also a very crucial factor. The mean free path is given by Z. Z is equal to 1 upon NO, where N is the density of the particle and O is the collision cross section of the particle. Okay, so I hope now you understood. If the collision cross section is less, or if the density is high and if the density of the particle is high, then the mean free path would be less. Okay, if N increases or O increases, then Z decreases. So mean free path depends upon the density. If I have denser gas, then they will have more probability to collide. Okay, it depends upon the collision cross section as well. It depends upon the effective pressure also. It is inversely proportional to the pressure. If I increase the pressure, mean free path will decrease because the collision will be taking more rapidly. If I am increasing the pressure, if I am increasing the pressure, there will be higher collision between the particles and I will be having lesser mean free path. Okay, so if I have higher pressure, which means shorter mean free path, lower pressure, which means longer mean free path. Now coming to the relation of the vacuum with plasma. If the pressure is too high, mean free path will be very less. I have already discussed about it. So ionization usually require at least 15 electron volt, and if the electrons can't get enough energy to ionize, then mean free path will become very less. Okay, so here if my ion is not getting ionized, then the whole of the energy is transferred into the collisions. If it is getting ionized, then there will be higher mean free path. So we require the vacuum condition, and also we require the radio frequency to start and to maintain stabilized plasma. Okay, so now coming to the ion bombardment. Okay, so anything which is close to plasma will get ions bombardment. There are ions and electrons. Electrons are very small in mass, so there will be no impact of electron collisions. But the ions which are present in the gas are having very high mass, and if these ions which are present in the plasma are hitting on a substrate, so it is transferring its energy. Okay, so anything which is close to the plasma will be getting hit by this ion, and this process is called the ion bombardment. This process is very important for sputtering, RIE, and also the PECVD processes. Okay, so chemical vapor deposition, RIE, I have already told you, and we will be discussing about the sputtering as well. So it is mainly determined by the RF power. Okay, if the power is high, then the ion bombardment will be high. Okay, so pressure also affects the ion bombardment, and I have already discussed it. So if I have electrons, electrons are moving much faster than the ion. Okay, electron reaches to the electrode and the chamber wall first. Okay, so here let's suppose if I have ions plus electrons present, if I supply electricity here and upside it, in between I have ions plus electrons. So as soon as I supply the positive and negative voltage here, towards the positive voltage the electrons will be moving, towards the negative voltage the ions will be moving. Okay, but as I have already told you, the mass of electrons is very less as compared to ions. The electrons will move very fast towards the positive electrode, but the ions will remain in the center, okay, and will not be moving towards the negative charge electrode. So electrodes are charged negatively. It will repel the electron, also it will attract the ions, but there will be no significant motion or the movement of ions, but a very high movement of electrons towards the positively charged electrode. So charge difference is present near the surface, which will be forming the sheet potential. Okay, I hope now you understood what is sheet potential, and this sheet potential accelerates the ion towards the electrodes, and this sheet potential will be causing the ion bombardment. Okay, so the ion bombardment is giving me the ion energy, ion density, and both of them are controlled by the power that I am supplying. If the power is very high, also this is the power which is the alternating power that I am giving. Once this electrode is positive, and then for the another time this electrode will become negative. So it will fluctuate, keep on fluctuating. So now coming to the applications of the ion bombardment. First, it is used to achieve anisotropic H profile, because the ions are bombarded in the particular direction. If the ion is bombarded here, it will be etching in this direction only. It will not etch in the lateral or any lateral right or any lateral left direction. It will be etching from the inside or the downside it only. Okay, so here we have the damaging mechanism, the blocking mechanism. Okay, so then we are using the ion bombardment for the argon sputtering. Here we are using the dielectric etch for the gap filling purposes, and also it is used for the metal deposition that I am going to discuss. Both of these processes I am going to discuss in some later videos, don't worry. It is used for controlling film stress in the PECVD processes. Okay, so if I have the CVD process, the stress would be there on the film. It is used to control the film stress, because heavier bombardment will be giving me more compressive film. Okay, so if the film is compressive, it will not be giving me much of the stress. Okay, so it will be stabilized with the help of this process. Now coming to the control, how I can control this process: increasing RF power, DC bias, ion density increases this process. Okay, so if I want to increase the ion bombardment process or ion bombardment rate, I will increase the RF power, DC bias, or ion density. These three things will increase the ion bombardment. Both ion density and ion bombardment energy are directly controlled with the RF power. If the RF power is high, I will be having higher ion bombardment rate. Okay, I will be having higher ion bombardment energy and ion density as well. So RF power is the most important knob controlling the ion bombardment. If I increase the RF power, I will be having the more bombardment energy, more ion density. So now if I have the RF power, I have already told you it is the main knob. So it is also the main knob to control the etch rate. If I have more ions with more energy, it will be etching at a controlled rate. Okay, so it will be etching more. If I have more energy, it will be etching more. If I have less energy, it will be etching less. So the main control knob is RF power knob to control the etch rate. Increasing RF power increases etch rate. Usually it reduces the selectivity, because if RF power is high, it does not know which kind of material it is etching. It is silicon dioxide, silicon, it does not know. It is falling on the surface, it is removing some elements from or atoms from this surface. So it is less selective. RF power can also be used to control the film stress for PECVD process. Increasing RF power will be increasing the compressive stress. And this is how we are controlling the stress. Coming to the self bias. Okay, so here we can use the different sized electrodes, and we don't have any charged buildup in the plasma, because I have already told you we have equal ions and equal electrons. The total overall charge will be 0 in the plasma. Charge flux on both electrodes are also same, because if I have positive and negative electrodes, the flux would be same. Okay, smaller electrodes has higher charge density and the larger DC bias between the plasma and the smaller electrode. So I can control all of the factors with the help of the size of the electrode also. So pressure, size of the electrode and the power, all of them are the very important controlling parameters for the dry etching. So I am going to discuss all of these things in detail. I hope you will be joining me in the next session. If you have any query, you can refer these books. These are really amazing books. I hope you like this session. If you have further any doubt, you can put the doubt in the comment and I will be trying to resolve your doubt as soon as possible. I hope you like this session. If you like it, please push the like button, subscribe to the channel and also do share it with your friends. Thank you so much.